Hey guys, all right. Welcome to the stream. I don't even think anyone's watching, but this still might be good for later down the line. But okay. So if you're tuning in, this is pretty much going to be a Roll20 tips and tricks class. I'm going to take you through some of the things I use that I picked up along the web. Picked up across the web from different YouTube channels, mostly from Taking 20 and the Roll20 forums. So it shouldn't be too bad. I want to take you through. It's going to be kind of like a class, so if you got any questions, reach out to me on Discord or the channel. Either way. So I made a new game based on the class. Just to start off fresh, if you're building a new game, the first thing I do is pretty much go to game settings and start from there. Now I have a pro account, but I'll leave all the pro account stuff for later on. So I tried a bunch of different sheets, and I found that I like the D&D 5e Roll21 the best. It seems the easiest one to use, manage, all that fun stuff. I did start with the community forum one, and wasn't the biggest fan of it. It was okay, but there was just a lot there. I mean, call me a classic sis, but I really just like the look of the actual pen and paper sheet. So some of the settings I got going into this is my default sheet is NPC, because I'm going to use these sheets to create NPCs across the line. And I'll show you what I'll do with those later on. And the ideas came mostly, like I said, from Taking 20. If you haven't seen any of the stuff, it's really good, especially on Roll20 or if you're using Fantasy Grounds. The settings I got are NPC automatically, use level 1 characters straight from the bat, always roll advantage because it's going to come in handy for you as a GM. Always whisper the rolls, so that way none of your players see whatever you're rolling for whatever NPC you create. And auto roll damage and crit, just so you don't have to think about it down the line. And your core dice roll is always going to be 1d20, mostly because that's what you're going to be using. If you want, you can go through each one of these options here. Proficiency bonus by level, I keep that. Custom proficiency bonus if you want to add that in. Use any modifier you want. You could also add Dex, Dex tiebreaker to initiative. But actually, one of the rules I found out recently was if you tie with something, the players decide who wants to go first. Whether it's rock, paper, scissors, odds, evens, or whatever, or roll again for it. You can show global skill modifiers. I keep most of these off ticked, but that's up to you if you want to do it. And then feature traits, got to be companion compatible. I'll show you why. And then for NPC name rolls, I got it set for ammo tracking. I have off. Bar 1 I have it set for hit dice, but that's going to be later on down the line. And bar 1 max is HP max, and then NPC AC, which is going to come in handy actually later on. So most of it come down for the fact so you don't have to think about some of the stuff and make life a little easier. Hit dice, that's going to be more for API scripts and pro users, but we'll get into that later. So I save it, and once it's ready, you can launch your game, and you only have to really do these once. If you guys have any questions or whatever, feel free to ask or reach out. And if you want to join the game, here's a link to it. So once I have the game up, what you start looking at is pretty much a blank page. I have my page default to these different colors here, but the first thing you're going to do pretty much as a GM is you're going to pretty much be setting up your game. and setting up your game is actually not going to be too bad. I imported some stuff over from the previous game where I already had. You get your rollable tables, things like that, and roll shaking events, magic loot, magic mounting encounters, events, art stuff. I'll show you how to use all this stuff. Tavern name, first name, last name. That's going to come in handy the most, and probably the one we're using the most. Now, the good part is, if you have the pro account, you can transfer your tables over from game to game, which comes in handy. If you don't, you got to rebuild your tables every time, which is not really fun. Or copy the game and just start fresh, which actually might not be a bad thing. Now, the way to make things faster and easier is we're going to use a thing called macros. And, so to build a macro, you type it. You click the add macro button, and this one's just going to be a D20. 1D20 roll for your macro, which is that roll 1D20. And you see, I'm going to hit it, and it's going to pop up. I actually don't have 3D and dice enabled, I don't think, on here, but we can change that. There we go. And automatically roll 3D dice, which I like. Alright, so we do that, test the macro. There we go. Rolls the dice. Now, that's kind of okay, but it's not the cleanest looking thing. What you can do is add an inline roll, which is 2 brackets, like so. And now you roll, and it shows you this, and it shows you what you roll. Still not the cleanest, but what's good is that sorry, didn't realize I had audio issues. How's that? Is that better, Jason? Okay, let me turn it up some more. Left, right. How's that? I'm also talking quietly, so I could always turn it up, dude. Alright, that should be a little better. There we go. Alright, there we go. Alright. And I'm also I was talking low too. I sounded like I was on NPR. But let's get back into this. Alright, so if you want, so back to the thing. That's an inline roll. Now, the good part about this thing, it has templates built in. So if you need to control custom templates, is have templates come in. And I'll probably post this video somewhere. If you have any questions, reach out. So one of the templates they have is pretty much a default template, which will get you through any kind of tabletop game or so on and everything. I'll start off with that because that's the easiest one. Each template has its own custom formatting. But let's start there, and then I can show you a couple of different templates from there. For the macro, it's almost like writing code, which is kind of, So if I want to do this with the template, DFO default, right? Cool. Totally fine right there. And we want to do an inline roll of a 1D20. Oh, I forgot a thing. 1, 2. R1. R1 means roll 1. R2 means roll 2. So if you text the macro, look at the chat coming up here, it tells you, like, oh, hey, roll 1. I rolled a 1. Now, if you want to fancy this up a little bit, you could put in a title. So you do this. Sorry, it's name, not title. Titles for one of the different ones. Titles, 1d20. And then you do that. And it shows you at the top what you did, and it shows you rolled down at the bottom. And if you want to fancy this up just a little more, you can put an R name in. Now, the R name is like a subheading. And a subheading, basically what it is. So, like if you have a character or something like that, if you want to put his job thing or his alignment underneath, you can do that. But I'm just going to show you with dice right now. And so you do the R name like that. And it shows up. Roll a 13, R name, 1d20. And you could use either one of those. But if you want to change the item, totally fine. But let's save that as a 1d20. Now, coming over, the good part is, now if you have all your dice and you put it in the bar down the bottom, that is going to be a lot of dice coming here. 1d20, 1d whatever, 1d6, 4d6, 8d6. What you can do is basically nest them. And nesting them is a good thing. So if I add one more macro, let's see, 1d6 for this. And the same thing again. Let's do that. Template. Default. And then name equal 1d6. Do that. And I'm not going to get fancy with the R name on this one. Just I'm going to do this to show you guys. Yep. D6. And just to make sure it works, roll it. Rolls 1d6. Tells me down there, roll the 6. And the good part is you can fancy this up and put words and text in it. So I'm going to see the changes for that. Now, let me show you how to estimate. So yeah, if you got the dice in there, you're just like 1d20, 1d6, 1d whatever. That bar is going to be right across the whole bottom of the screen, and that is not a good thing overall. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my camera. That's a little better. Sorry, my room's messy behind me. I moved in what's it called? October. Still haven't done anything. So let me show you how to nest the macros, right? So we can do this. And then on my actual game, I just have it called dice. And then I just use the template again. This template, default, DFAULT. You don't know how to spell this by now. Name equal dice. Okay, cool. All right, so now to do this, dice equal. So basically, now think of this. The best example I heard was think of this as like a bag of candy, right? One of those mixed bags. You got the giant bag and have all the different things in it. Your Twix, your Milky Ways, whatever. This is the best way to do it. Now, if I remember off the top of my head, what we're going to do is, I think it's the bracket first, and it's going to be what it's going to be called. So 1d20, and this is what's going to show up in this pink box here. And then it is, oh no, sorry, it's brackets first, 1d20, and then it should be this. So you got to do a little bit of coding, this with the hashtag, and you got your 1d20. And, oh, no one. Now what this does is basically calling the 1d20 macro. So when you do it, it should pop up with a pink box around it and roll it automatically. I was close, but no dice. So, let me figure out where I messed this up, and let's go fix it. Dice, dice, I got the 2 things there, I got the 2 things there, I got that there. Oh, you know what? I might have forgotten this guy. Here. Fun times. Still not. Alright, give me 1 second. You know what? You think after all this time I'd have this memorized, but I don't. So, give me 1 second. Once I know how to do it, it's easy. Once you learn the format, which I thought I had down, but I don't. So, name dice, our name dice, description. Yeah. Oh, I see what I did. My apologies. It is parentheses, not those. No, that's okay. I know. I'm gonna make mistakes. It happens. Yeah. Dice. Equal. You know, most of this is about once you start doing it, it's going to clean it up. But you see this pink box right down here? Once I click on that, it should roll the 1d20, but it's not. Let's figure out why. And I'm getting there. Where did I learn this? Mostly from the Taking 20 YouTube channel. And I'm just compressing it all down to all the stuff I learned here. That's where I learned most of this stuff coming from. Yeah, that's where I learned most of this. And I'm using a lot of his stuff, which I've made my game faster and easier. And the Roll20 wiki, which helps a lot. And now what am I missing on here? Alright, why is it not calling it properly? You know what? It does a weird thing. Do my hashtag with that, 1d20. Yeah, see, that was close. It got me very close to it, but that's not what we want. It rolled the dice for me, but not what I want to need. And don't be, you know what? I run into these problems every time I do a new macro. Don't know why, I just do, but it happens. You know why? Let's see. Give me 1 second. There's some HTML code in here for it. And if you give me 1 second, I'll pull it up. Maybe that's what I'm running into. It's one of those weird things of translation. I don't know why. But it's not bad. I mean, I've been doing this. I've been using these for a while, and they've sped up my games. They've been speeding up my games a lot. Once we get past making these dice things, I'll show you how to make some rollable tables and how to do that. That's what we're looking for. There we go. I hate this HTML code stuff sometimes. All right, there it is. 13. Oh, that's pretty. I don't know why I couldn't memorize that. All right, so basically what you got to do, converts it. I don't know why, but you got to display this right here: exclamation point, and sign, hashtag 13 semicolon. And it comes up. You do it. 1d20. It's still not. Why? Why is it not doing what I need it to do? Huh. It used to work a lot better. It used to work fine. Oh, that's probably why. This, that, cool. Weird. If you actually look at my other game, it works perfectly. Let me see. Is there something in my formatting? Default name, right? Cool. I think I'll have this down. Yeah. To change the overlay here, I actually missed it in default settings. If you go up to page settings, you can change your background color right here and your color to black. I permanently changed it in my settings. 1d20. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, I always feel like they changed something on me. Alright, let me save the changes. Let's go back. I promise you, this was working perfectly for me. This works perfect for me in my regular game. Yeah, see ya. There we go. Yeah. Why is it not calling it like it's supposed to? What did I miss? Oh! You know what? I know why. Yep. Right. What did I put in this? Our name D20. Let's see. Yeah, that should call it and roll it. I'm not sure why it's not doing it. That's something I'll have to figure out. Yeah, I'm comparing it to my other macros too, and I got no idea why it's not doing what it's supposed to. Description. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh. That's why I forgot the hashtag. Stupid. Okay. There we go. Yeah, most of it, what you run into is just the coding for it. But see how it puts it out? Perfect, just like that. And it rolls the dice, you test it, you click on it. Perfect. And it rolls it. So now what you want to do is you want to add the other one in there, for your 1d6. And you put the brackets, you put the name of the macro that you're calling. You gotta put that little code thing in there, you hashtag, and you select the 1d6, and you close it out with the parentheses. Sorry. And then you can call it 1d6, rolls it, and it tells you what it is. And you can clean it up by looking at the macro. So instead of having all those in there, the 1d6, that, you have the dice down there, and you know, click on the channel, dice roll. Why did it not save? We gotta do that. Yep, and now we have it. And now it comes up in the chat, 1d20, 1d6, and you can roll them straight from the chat, which comes in handy. Now, what you want to avoid is having your player seeing what you're rolling. So the one thing you really should add to all these macros is the /WGM. And basically what that'll do is send it to you as a GM, which is very handy, especially for saving throws, all that. So that way your players don't know what you're up to. My players, I'll have them roll for random reasons, whether there's no effect, anything like that. And you can go to that. And that's kind of how you make the macros. For whatever reason, the first thing is this one here. It's not coming out as clean as I like. And I'm not sure why, but that's something I can always figure out later. You know, and it's just going to be practicing and doing and playing with it. You know, so maybe if I try doing something, getting rid of the dice like that, and we test the macro there, still showing up down there. And I don't know why. Yeah, no, it's supposed to do what it does, but you do that, but it still shows up, does the basic idea, rolls straight to you, and you also want to whisper this to yourself, just to make sure. So, yeah. And those aren't whispering to me either, which is not good. So let's try it if we do it with our name this way. Test it. There you go. Just put it underneath the R name. It cleans it up, whispers it to you, sends it, and you're good. And that's kind of how you do your dice rolls there. Now, the one thing which is kind of annoying, that if you do have a pro account, you can bring stuff over from tables, things like that. You can bring them over from the things. That one thing you can't do is bring over your macros you create. So if you spend tons of time making macros and things like that, you can't bring them over, and it kind of sucks. So one way around that is you add a character, you name him DM or GM, whatever you want, and it's only in yours. You don't need a player token, you don't need this, you don't need that, and you save the changes, right? And you're not adding anything to it, so you go to abilities and attributes, and you make your macros here. New ability, 1d20. And then you just put in the macro you made over there. Like that, 1d20. Test it out. Rolls. I got a crit, so I fumbled, did whatever. Kind of sucks. But that happens. So if you do that, now if you got the pro account, you can bring all your stuff over from one game to the other. Which I'm about to do maybe later on today or tomorrow or the weekend. I'm going to make a character just for myself and put all the macros I made in there so I can bring it from game to game without any difficulty kind of things. And then you do the same thing, which is you build all your macros out and you make them clean, whisper GM, and they basically would look like, you know, for the 1d20, clean it up, save changes, do this, test roll, sends it right to the GM, and you can make all the macros here, and then you can just put them into your bar. So if you do that, add one more for dice. And we copy that macro over from here. Oh, if I'm not mistaken, it should just work the same way. I don't have this thing down fully pat as much as like, but we'll get there. Roll20, all here. Now, just to double check it, yeah, see, I think what's going to happen is if I take this and delete it, the 1d20 macro, and we do this, save it, roll it. Yeah. You know what? I'll figure out how to do it from the thing. There's a way to call them from the other abilities. I forgot how to do it, though. Actually, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it might be the little squiggly thing, and then 1d20. And that's part of the thing, you know? It's not. You know what? I will figure that one out later, and I'll get back to you guys on it. But I would suggest building your macros inside there, and then you can bring them over from one to the other. Or if you just want to build your macros in there and copy and paste over to the macros one by one, that's totally good. Now, that's kind of how you nest your macros and do it from there. A big part of being the GM, too, is tables. And Dungeons & Dragons has tons and tons and tons of tables. So while we are still dealing with the dice and doing things, let me show you how to roll a table real quick. Those over there are some of the other RPG tools I use to help the game. So as you can see, I have a couple different tables. I got my tavern first names, which is usually the gilded, the broken, the stun, so the and a verb. And then you could add whatever you want. So if I want to add something like the horny, HORNY, the horny, right? Right down there, the horny. Now, Now, tavern last names are always like an item, toad, frog, things like that. So I would come over here to this table, and you have your inn, anvil, arrow, kangaroo. There's horde, jester, things, spider, dog, whatever. Is always the noun. So for here, new item, toad. The horny toad is a new name of an inn. So now we're at rolling tables. Now, to roll a table, it's not that difficult. It's almost like rolling dice, but the format's different. So to roll a table, I'm going to just expand my chat up a little bit, if anyone can see. Roll a table, it's always the 2 brackets, 1 T, this, and then the table name. And it's case sensitive, so this one is tavern first name. So you want to type in tavern, tavern name, ST first, bracket, bracket, right? And then you're calling from 2 tables, which is really good. So you can do this, you do the space, and then tavern name last. And you hit enter. And look, the horny eel. That's your new tavern. It generates it on the fly based on your list. But let's clean it up. Let's make the macro for it so you can sit there and be like, hey, all right, hey, how's it going? You're like, these characters, they're like, let's go to the inn. What's the name of the inn in the town? While they're talking to an NPC. You know, what are you going to do? So, make another macro, tavern name. And you always want to start it off with WGM, so they don't know the name of the tavern. And then the template you want to usually use is default. Template default. Then, you know, put the name, tavern name, name equals, yeah, most of it's like some coding and stuff. If you take a look at the Taken 20, it goes more in depth about it. I'm just doing what I've learned. I'm trying to relay that to you guys. Tavern name. And then basically you just call it from the table, which would be, you know, this. Well, since we typed it out already, I'm going to show you this trick in a little bit. Like that. So you can do this. Now, if you need to generate more than one at a time, you just put 1, this, you know, go down the next line, 2 like this, 3 like this. And what that should do for us is generate 3 tavern names. Alright, our name equal. Ooh. Oh, you know what? If it would help if I could spell. Test your macro. There you go. Now you just got 3 tavern names handed to you. You know, let's try this out with the FDR name. So let's see what that looks like. There you go, right there. 1, 2, typo, 3. Test macro. There you go. The running kangaroo, the giant arrow, the drunken councilman. All great tavern names, and then you can build and expand on your list. I would suggest also keeping track of which ones you used, so you don't repeat tavern names as you go across. And these tables can be used for anything from tavern names all the way up to generating NPCs and giving loot. So, and events and so on and all that. So if you go through, you know, you're like, oh, hey, I searched the item. Not that one there. Which one? Art item. Yeah, so they're like, oh, hey, I searched the body. What kind of loot do I find? You can roll that table. Art item 1, if I'm not mistaken. You can roll that. What was the art? Yeah, art item 1. There we go. Sorry. Oh, forgot the T. Art item 1. They got a clasp. Now, you can expand on this by building multiple tables. Your art item, made by who, made by what, doing things like that. And that would actually help a lot for doing loot on the fly and copying the GM tables over. Yes, Jason, I am recording it. Sorry I don't have your chat directly in front of me like that, but I just moved it over so I have better eyes on it. Yes, I am recording it, and I'll probably upload it to my YouTube channel. And I'll also link to a couple of channels that go more in depth on this than I did. That kind of thing. But that's part of it too. You know, you do this, you learn it, and you go from there. And that's kind of how you make some rollable the fast way to make rollable tables and doing that kind of thing. And one class. Like, I have a macro set up in the game that tells from a couple different art tables. It tells me the price of the item, who made it, what kind of item it is, and what material it's made out of. So it would be like, they receive a golden crown built by a common artist worth about 10 GP. Stuff like that. And you can always expand on it by building roll tables. And like you saw from the tavern name, you can build multiple tables at once. So the next move is let's go into creating monsters and monster tables. Big part of it is building out your creatures and your monster template, right? So as you can see here, I got a monster template already built. Usually what I do is I create some folders, usually like this, monster manual. Right, you got your monster manual right up here. And then the good part is you can drag it around. So I got a monster template. I'm going to show you how easy and fast it is to create a monster. First off, you want to build your template. All right, you got it here, you got this. Now, a couple of the things you're going to want to put in here are these macros here. These should roll all the saves right off the bat. And you want to select showing these as token actions. So when you click on a token, which I'll show you in a little bit, when you click on a token, it will, what's it called? You'll have those options available to you right away up in your top bar. And I'll show you how that works in a second. So you want to build your template out, which is this. Your attack 1, multi-attack, because a lot of bosses have multi-attack, attack 2. You can start doing spells, things like that, if you want to make it fast. And I'll show you a couple other options too, and things to make it a lot better, which is great. So the first thing you want to do from your monster template is go over to your bio and info and click edit. And you want to duplicate this. And then just save the changes right there. And you always want to work from your duplicate. So in my campaign I'm running right now, they just faced a bunch of cultists. So what I'd want to do, cultists, you name the monster. And we want to upload a photo. NPC, art, prisoner tokens, D&D. I already have a folder made with a lot of this stuff. Tokens. And info token, Sam, photos. Here we go. Monster tokens. Cultist. Do that. You upload it. And it appears as the cultist. And you want to save your changes and move in there. So now you got your cultist thing. And then I usually just move it straight over to the monster manual. Now, there's a couple things we're going to need to do now. We need to have the cultist ability. And the cultist, all his actions. So you go over here to the character sheet. And it's really not filled in with anything. Hit points 82, that's the formula. That seems kind of high. And none of it's filled out. What you do next is you got a giant compendium and this info button here. and you can search through your stuff. Type in cultist, comes up under monsters. You bring it in, it shows up adopting, and you click, and it drops in all the information you need right there. And now, for whatever reason it doesn't drop, you just got to click on the gear. Just like so. You click on the gear, and you'll be able to drop your thing in. And now you have all your information for your cultist. You're this, and now what it does too, you can pull up the sheet, and when you're controlling a big group of guys, you can click on initiative. They roll initiative right off the bat, and he got a 3. And when you roll initiative for a monster, usually you should add it to the turn order. Give me a sec. Ascending to weird. Oh, you know what? I know why. So you do this, and then you can click on their abilities too once you have their things in there. Where's my journals? Right here, cultist, and you click on Dark Devotion. Pops up in the chat right here, tells you what you want to do. But here's the thing: if you see the blue box around here, that means it's going to everybody, which you don't really want. Scimitar, attack 1 or roll advantage, and it told you, look at that, roll 21, roll 21, which will usually hit against it. But here's the thing: you don't always want your players to know what you're doing. You never want your players knowing what you're doing. So if you go over to your settings, you click on here where it says Never Whisper Rolls, Always Whisper Rolls, and select Auto Roll Damaging Crit. And that's it. Once you do that, you do the gear, it's saved, and now you do your scimitar attack, and it tells you right off the bat. Attack 20, 22, and it did 2 slashing damage. Yeah, weird. Yeah, +1 hit 4, +1 d6, +1 slashing. So it hit for 2 slashing. Although, is that really hit 4 +2? Yeah, I don't know. Either way. But that's the way that kind of works out. Not always the best, but it's good. Now that just hit for 4 slashing. Yeah, 1d6 +1. Yeah, that makes right. Cool. And then they get a +3 to their thing. So you see how it's added the 9 and the 8 automatically. Perfect. Which is 100% great. And then, as we move on here, and that's your basic way of creating a character. Now, what you want to do too is you want your character connected to a token. So once you get your character up here, you basically want to drag, sorry, there we go. I'm just making that a little smaller. You want to drag your character to the board. And it's going to drop it right here. Now, whatever you do, what you want to do is edit. And say you make it, it's a small monster to medium, so it's always going to take up 1 square. And you select your settings. It's set here. You have your bars. You can set them here. What you really don't want to do is set any of this stuff here, because what will happen is this will change it for every single cultist thing. So, for example, if you set that to their HP, and one of their things changes, like see this one, hit dice. I have that one there, and that's going to come up later in my API stuff. You don't want to change it because of that, but you save your changes, and then you select a token, and every time you drop the token, it will have all those options available to it, which is fantastic, right? So, like, say if you want to make this one a giant cultist, right, or gargantuan, like this, you want to do that, and then say you want to drop a second one, you drop it in, it won't save unless you select the token, you select the token, and save it as a gargantuan. So every time you drop it, it now takes that up. But, you know, based on the size and all that, really you're not going to need that. You're pretty much going to want to do this right here. You select the token, it's a medium, totally good. Now, I'm sure you noticed, if you didn't notice, if you look right up here, across the top, you're going to see it says Action 1, Multi-Attack, DR Immunities. You know, and there's some tweaking along. This was set up for a different character sheet, so I am going to have to tweak it, and I'll update it. But if you do that, if you do your initiative, you know, see, stuff like that. All the coding's not fully there yet on the characters, but I'm going to show you a little trick. And this is what I've been doing. Once you create your monster, once you're building it, go to your character sheet, you have them select it, roll initiative. You go to attributes. Here's a little trick. If you go like this and press up, it will show you the entire setup for what it used to roll this right here. And if you copy it and save it to your initiative, like this, and check, and roll it, it'll be up in this bar right here. And all you gotta do is click on the icon, click initiative, and it's good to go. And now what I would suggest is doing that for its attacks too. You know, now the good part is you only really have to set this up once for each monster. So if you go back to the cultist, character sheet has its attack, which is its scimitar, which is right here. It's all set up already to whisper. Press up. That, copy it. You know, when pressing up, we'll show you everything it rolled, the formula for doing it. Oh, wrong area. You know, and it has its attack 1. Right? So you do this, delete, paste, save it, and then you can rename the attack too. Action sim SCIM. SCIM scimitar. Check, does it, and then you roll, and it does it like that. Now the good part about that is you only have to do it once for each monster, and that's how easy it is creating the monster. Now, the best advice I got for this one is don't sit there and just copy and paste every single monster. Build it out for your whatever you're running that week or whatever you're going to throw them. And eventually, you'll be able to build it up and up and up and up and up and up, which is great. And I think there's a way to import everything from a different game, all the stuff, because you're basically just adding a character sheet, new character, whatever, and you can import your entire monster manual over to each game, depending on what you want to throw at them. That is the easiest way to build out your monster thing. Now, for example, if you want to do a new monster, you know, character, and they were going up cultist. This campaign I got running for everyone, it's going to be a lot of cultist. So I have a cult fanatic. You think I know how to spell this stuff by now? F-A-N-A, cult fanatic, right? And we're doing the same thing. Click to upload a photo, cult fanatic, enter, and it will upload, save changes. And you know, you can always do the thing, and right here it will say, how you want to do it. You say you're creating an NPC. Drag the cult fanatic over, And here's all his stats, which is great. And same thing, he's got the multi-attack. So you do that, rolls a multi-attack, press up once, select all, which is Control A or Command A. Attributes and abilities. Oh, you know what? I forgot to duplicate it. Duplicate the sheet, but same idea, like this. This action. 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 Multi-attack. Check there. Roll. Yep. Call for enemies 2 melee attacks. Now, the reason it's not showing up is because you want to show this as a token action, and you're good to go. The reason it wasn't showing up with the things is because I don't think I had it set to the usual stuff. Yep, always roll advantage, always whisper, auto roll damage and crit, shell. Good, done. Sweet. Good, gear's done. And then we just bring them right onto the board, like so. Then you select them, bioinfo, edit, you select the token, save changes. And now you got them right here. You select them, right up here, multi-attack. Yeah, whatever. For whatever reason, it is not rolling the way I wanted to. Or showing the dice. We did it before. I wonder why. What's it doing? Maybe because I didn't have them selected before. So we do that. Oh, I forgot to set it as an attack roll. And, you know, what's going to happen? You're like, why isn't it doing it? Always check the settings. So now multi-attack does it. There you go. But now it makes 2 melee attacks. None of them actually hit. You know. And then do it again. And 2 melee attacks, 14 there. You know, to hit, 1 target, on hit. You know, you got it. You'd have to set these up for what it is. So multi-attack is a dagger. So to hit, you know, on hit, you know, 1d4 plus 2. And piercing, if I'm not mistaken, because it's a dagger. E-R-T-I-N-G. Right, because it's a multi-attack. And because it's 2 hits and it's a multi-attack on hit number 2, copy paste, done. Here you go. Damage plus 4 piercing. And you do that, and then you could tighten it up, and then you would copy and paste that into here. Oh. Copy. Settings. No, not settings. Edit. Check it. Roll it just to check to make sure it works. Excellent. Damage 4 plus 6 piercing. Rolls damage. You're good to go. Excellent. So, and that's your basics on creating a monster on it and how to create a boss monster that does multi-attacks. The one step I missed there is you'd usually want to just duplicate the guy out, the monster template, because everything is saved in there. So monster template, character sheet, always roll advantage, whisper, always whisper rolls, and auto roll damage. You know, I didn't have this set up before, so You do that. Cool. And then it's done. It's ready to go. And then just so you know, here, duplicate. Click duplicate, then you create the monster, and you are good to go. There. Okay. That's the best, fastest way to create monster manuals. And over time, your monsters are going to just monster manual is going to just pick up and eventually have 40, 60, 70, 80 monsters in there. So the next step in creating monsters too, you want to make tokens and stuff to create the monsters in the art style. I mean, they give you a bunch here in the premium assets library and their free assets, things like that. Goblins, so on. So if you want to search for goblins, if you have preview assets like this, tokens did, and you know, yeah, there we go. See, they want you to purchase a lot of the assets and stuff, but you know, if you want to do this, you know, they'll take you to a website that has it, and you can buy it, you can drop it. Here's all the free stuff from the web. You just drop it in, and look at that. All right, but if you want to make your own tokens like I did, what you want to go over to is, what would help is this here. It's called, which website is this from? Oh my God, I can't remember. It's called Token Stamp 2 from Roll20. If you see right over in the right-hand corner, right here. This is the easiest one to use because you find a piece of art. I already picked a lot of my characters, so if you want to upload, you have that. And let me just back. If you want to upload, or if you already have your image you want to pick. Where is it? Let's go. Because it's from a website. D&D. Cool. I already have tokens, things like that. Photos, monsters. I already have the cultist monster. So you do that, you select your image, and you have it right in there. You can take it from the web too, drag and drop. And you kind of get to a point where you're like, oh yeah, I like it right there. There's the cultist. And you click on download, save your file. Where's my network stuff? Right here. D&D. Tokens. Photos. Again, I organize the folders. Alright, cultist. Just name it. I already have my cultist token, which I'm happy with. So cultist number 2, just to show you. And there you go. And then if we open that up, you can see you got it right here. Now it's kind of big, so you'll see that. But you get the nice looking token, and you can use whatever artwork you find. You know, this one I think is from the D&D manual, so that's fine. But it's kind of just how it works there. And then you want to go to your uploaded files here, my library, click upload, and then you can just drag and drop the token in like that, and it will upload. If you got a free membership, it's a less space to store. If you got a pro membership or one of the other tiers, you got way more space to store, which is great. But you can do this, make NPCs, all that, things like that. Let's see. That's how you create tokens for your players, things like that, and monsters, and yeah, and the monsters, which are, where are my monsters? Here we go, right here. Monster manual, cultist, GM, stuff like that. So let's move on to the maps. Usually, as I'm setting up my game, I always have my map set, ready to go beforehand, and I put the monsters in, things like that. So I'm going to use a map from, I usually use a map from Dungeon Painter Studio, which is only $15 on Steam. Fantastic deal for what you get. I can do a whole thing on that later on. But this one I found on Reddit. It just popped up the other day. I actually might use it in my campaign. And you drop it in. And it's only taking up 1 square, which is kind of weird. So what you're going to want to do is just stretch it out as far as it goes. Kind of thing. And it stretches out fairly evenly. But what you're going to notice on it is that the lines might not match up perfectly. So if you see this line right here is not lined up with the grid there, and these lines, the vertical lines, are not lined up either. So what you're going to want to do is try to stretch it out until it kind of snaps. Now, to help get a better look at it, as you can see, it's just off by a little bit, which is not the worst thing in the world, but, you know, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So, you know, and it also helps too with your guys. So as you scroll through, so what you want to do is shrink or adjust the map until those lines up. So now those top lines are looking pretty good. I'm happy with those. And now it's just the vertical line, the diagonal lines. The vertical lines are good. You just go up to do it until they line up. Yeah. Now, D20 or Roll20 here. Ah, perfect, right there. So if you see, now I have the top lined up and the bottom lined up. The verticals. The verticals are lined up, and so are the diagonals. And once they're lined up there, what you want to do is then select the layer, and you want to just send it to the map layer. And if you want, you can remove the lines from here or not remove the lines. So say if you got some tokens, like I got this one here, drop it right in, lands right inside the squares. That kind of thing. Right here, this is outside, so it's tiled or wood. And they line up pretty good actually. So you go here, go across here, NPCs at the table, that kind of thing. And, you know, but if you need to make it bigger, you just can go to the page here, your settings, and you can set your width. You know, most maps are 96, I think, by 70, I think. So you could do this if you want to stretch it out some, depending on your map. Oop, I backed all the way out. Let's get back to where I was. That's the only thing I don't like about my wheel. You think I'd fix that by now, but I didn't. And then what you do is select your layer, map and background layer. Switch that over to the token layer. Where's that map? Objects and tokens. That. And then zoom out. Select it. Move it around a little. And you can enlarge it out to help you get a little bit of a bigger play space. Yeah, see the couple parties, those are looking pretty good. There. And those look cool. You do this, you stretch the map out like this as much as you want. And actually that doesn't look half bad. No, you see what you gotta look out for. A couple of them might line up, but they start to drift as they go up, which is not a good thing. So we could try doing this. Take this. You know, it's kind of just want to go And basically it's the same thing. You just kind of want to line them up as best you can. That's not looking half bad. I mean, I would say the only bad part is on this is that this tile squares are a little bigger than the other thing. But you do this. So then back to the map layer. And now you got a little bit of bigger play space to go. And then you got your token right here. And you can fit more guys in there, things like that. You know, each thing. But size is proportionate. I saw this on, I did see this on Reddit last night, and I liked it, but there's a guy who created it right down here. Cool. So, as we continue on from there, you know how to make monsters, you saw how to do the maps, you saw how to import the maps. What's the next best thing I'm going to show you? Now, so a really good resource too for this. These are magic table items, things like that. Some macros, tavern names. A really good resource is a site called Donjon. The reason this is so good because it has a lot of built-in items and things like that for D&D and any other fantasy things. You know, has a roller, has a thing, but has a fantasy name generator, which is also good. If you don't want to make the tables, you can use it. Human male names, fill, elvish, all that. And then if you want, just take it. Common names, monstrous names, ancient world, new world. A lot of good stuff. But one of the most important things that I like is the D&D 5th edition. They have the spell sheet, monster list, magic items, encounter size calculator, initiative tracker, random generator, random dungeon generator. That's really good. This helps you a lot because you can be like, I don't know, the goblin den. Name it. Goblin den. Name it. How many levels do you want in the dungeon? 5, 1, 2, 7. Party size. So you got a thing for 6 people. Right there. Dungeon motif. Desert. You know, I kind of like desert. You know, grid or squares, map style, standard, classic, cross patch, graph paper, asylum, steampunk. I like sandstone too. You know, so as you see right there, load it up just like that. Almost looks like parchment. And then you can select the stuff like, you know, if you're doing multi-levels. So if you're doing the entrance, you put peripheral egress, which means there will be an entrance somewhere on the side of the map. This one's right here. If it's 1 level, no stairs, I'll pull that off. And then you can select your room layout: scattered, sparse, dense, which means many rooms, systematic, room size: medium, large, huge, gargantuan, colossal. You know, medium's pretty decent. Door, standard, secured, death traps. I usually do standard on the doors, but if you really want to fuck with your party, you could use that. Corridors are errant and labyrinth. I used labyrinth on my last map, and it was just hallways. It was really good. So you click construct off of there. Infesting dungeon. And it pulls up. So it pulls up this giant map here. 4, 3, you know, there's 43 rooms, 48, 40, whatever. And they go through here, labyrinth, all that. And it tells you what's in each room. Now you don't always have to follow this, and you go down. But it's great. But, you know, but you can figure out what kind of things you want there. Dungeon like that. Room size, medium. Door standard. Corridors, labyrinth. Dungeon size, medium, small, tiny. Room layout. a little scattered. You know, I had a lot. And then you can construct it again, and it'll generate a totally different map for you. So right here, a lot of rooms again, does the thing. I guess I forgot to put an entrance. There's the entrance right here. And then you go through, travel through. Then if you click on the room here, I'll bring you right to the area. Now what I do is usually download the HTML, players map, print map, and TSV map. The TSV map's important because if you want to use Dungeon Painter Studio, if you want to use Dungeon Painter Studio, you can import the TSV, change the flooring, things like that, and it's pretty good. And it tells you what kind of doors they got here: arch, door, lock, trap, secret. And then the HTML is nice because when I'm playing with my players, I might keep it up on the right and like, oh, they're going into room 7. All right, what's in room 7? Right up here. It's a trap there. There's an archway. There's this, and it tells you a little bit about the room. You know, strong wooden door, archway, things like that. And that kind of thing. So some of the other tools I use is that. I use Donjon for some of the name generator stuff. It's really good. They put a lot of work into it. And I think I got to buy them a coffee, especially after this one here. Let me see. And they got some other stuff. Advanced D&D, Pathfinder, all that. Huge help on this site. So once you create your map and you have it the way you want it and looked, you bring it into here and you want to populate it with monsters. Now, if you want to help speed things up, what you got to do. So you want to speed things up, right? So you don't always want to go back to the DM manual, the whole thing of looking at the HTML. What's in this room? What's in that room? I'll show you a little trick that I use. So I got these numeric markers up to 20 right now, but you could always build more. So these markers I actually just pulled from the assets from Dungeon Painter Studio. So what I do is I'll drop a marker here, right there on one of the things here, like this, and I will send that to the GM layer, right? So only I can see it. They can't see it. But when you're on the token layer and you're dealing with NPCs, monsters, whatever, you can't click on it without switching. So some of the things I got are, if you go back to my character sheet in the journals, you go to this little info token. This little info token is really nice because it's just a blank thing, right? It's transparent, you can't see through it. You do this. And where was it? Crap, didn't drop it. Didn't drop it again. Give me a sec. You drop it in right on top of here, and you can click. You can click right on it. And you have these bars here, 1, 2, and 3. But in reality, you have 6 bars. Dynamic lighting, right? You really have 6 bars. Now the good part is an invisible token, so they won't see it. Now, somewhere like in an inn like this, it really wouldn't work too well. But if you have somewhere where they're using a map, you know what? Let me just upload my map that I was using, and then I'll show you. On here. Yeah. So right now, this is the map my guys are playing. And if they're watching, they're seeing a full view of this map. I don't think any of them are really watching though, which is good. So you do this, you got this. Yeah, you know what? It's not lined up perfectly. That's okay. Let me see. Size. I don't know why. Oh yeah, that's why. Okay, press OK. There we go. So that is why it was not lined up perfectly. Close the pages. So if you do this, like this, spread the map out. You can line up the grid as best as you can. But for this, it'll be okay. So if you go down here, you got some doors, you got some stuff, you got some things, right? So you bring your numeric token to the area by whichever you need to. Once this is actually lined up, it's not bad. So number one, your numeric token, you send it to your GM layer. And then, where's this go? Your info character right here. And it's off map. So you just drop it right over the one here. You bring this up here and say this is a strong wooden door. You just type right in the bar, raw strong door, DC 10 to break. Alright, just do that. Save the changes. And you'll notice up here the note, which sends it right to your, whispers it right to you, and you have 6 bars for 6 sets of information you can fill out. Bar 1, it whispers it right to you, strong wooden door. And you want to do this, trap in room, hello, by 1, 5. I'm just putting in random stuff so I can show you. So bar 1 will show you strong wooden door, DC 10 to break. Bar 2, trap in room, and then you can go into detail, hello. This here will output every single part of the that you put into each bar, which comes in super handy. So you can do this, you do that, so you do all this, and then you have all the information right out there. So you're not looking back and forth the sheet, and it will help speed up the game too. So you're like, okay guys, cool. Here's what you're up against right here. It's a trap. Give me a dexterity check to, tell me what the door is. Let me see. And then you could put if you wanted to, you do this. And you put, if you want, put the room description in there. High ceilings, things like high ceilings. I don't know how to spell ceilings. That's kind of weird, right? There we go. Ceilings. High ceilings. Pit trap. DC 15 to find. DC 10 to disable. Right? Things like that. And, if you want to put it to a marker for, like a trap marker down, like number 2. Like say there's a pit trap, like one of these things is a trap, you put that there, send it to the GM layer, and they'll go over it, and once they're in the area that you're like, hey guys, you see this, or check for this, and it'll be good, because once they do that, helps mark the stuff off and makes the things go a lot faster. So if you go to the character, let's show you what the character is. Now, this information I got from the Roll20 forum. If you just Google invisible tokens, it goes way more in depth. This thing's just more or less a thing of how to do it. Where was it? There it is. Info. Attributes and abilities. You got your notes here. Note 2, 1, 2, and 3. And if you want it, you could put these tokens in. You do this right here, and then you can have them all up top. Note 1, note 2, note 3. Either way works fine with the notes 1 or all these up here. And if you want to add some more macros to it, you could absolutely do that too. Sorry, I was checking my phone. But this thing actually kind of relates into the DM's dice part too that I was talking about earlier. So let's go take a look. As long as I'm here, and we got a little extra time. We've been going for like an hour and a half. So if we do this, note one, this is the big one. This is what. Yeah, see, this is the format I gotta figure out here. So if you go like this, go like this. Right, yeah. Oh, maybe that's why. Is underdefined. Oh, that's why. Yeah, I'll have to figure this out. Let's take a look. So we're doing this. This is how you kind of learn stuff. You know, you do this. Let's get rid of the R named dice here. Let's just if we go like so. Yeah, something's undefined. Let's see. I mean, I really don't need the 50% now. I could always figure it out later. Oh, maybe that's why. Each one needs its own separate thing. Like that. Let's try that. There you go. So yeah, if you do that, and you create a GM with all your macros in there, absolutely good. So now this too here, since your tables are over, let's try this with the tavern name generator. Tavern. Okay, so this one here is calling from the tables, and it's just not straight dice rolls. So let's see if we can get this working straight from here, like so. This is calling from tables, and tables you can move over. Macros you cannot. So we roll like that, and it works. Excellent. And it's calling from the table, so it's not bad. All right. Now what you could do is I would put all the macros in there, and then I would nest them. So this one I would do like world building, and just instead of the one thing there, you know, I'd have it show in like dice one. I'd have it show in the macro bar, and then I'd do one like world building, and nest that in there. Things like that would help it. You know, if you got any questions or anything, please feel free to reach out to me, Discord, either one, Facebook, YouTube, leave a comment. Like I said, a lot of the information I picked up from the Roll20 forums, a lot of it also came from Taking 20, and it helps with moving the game along and faster. If you watch the Taking 20 channel, you should. He does some lot good, better descriptions and information. I tried to condense everything down. Yeah, thanks for those who tuned in. Appreciate it. And I'll